Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of the NASCAR Heat 5 Career Mode. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we have racing in the Trucks Xfinity as well as Cup Series in the second race of the playoffs at the Martinsville night race. But first we have some breaking news here on the channel, and that is Aric Almirola announces this week that he plans to retire from full-time Cup Series competition at the end of the season. Quote, "It's been a long hard battle, but I'm happy with what I've accomplished," said Aric Almirola. This move will now leave an open spot at Richard Petty Motorsports at the end of the season, who is also apparently in talks about making a potential manufacturer change next season. So do not be surprised if they end up switching over from Chevy, but at the same time, don't be surprised if they end up staying with Chevy. But now we jump through into the racing aspect of the episode now with the Truck Series here. We actually are at my home track here in the Cup Series at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Always a blast when we come here. We were here recently in the Cup Series where we picked up our second win on the season there with a couple races to go in the regular season. And of course, as you guys know, we always have a subscriber in the truck for us, and this time out we had Billy Gregory in the truck for us here today, as we were hoping for a good, strong run, but unfortunately we actually failed inspection, so that put us at the back of the field for the start of this race. But Billy was really good behind the wheel here at this road course in Canada, so he wasted no time working his way through the field. As you see him getting aggressive right off the bat as he went down into turns 2, making it 3 wide there, as we would now be up just a couple of positions. But this whole race, it was just Billy moving his way, slicing and dicing throughout the field here, just making aggressive moves, 3 wide, sometimes even 4 wide if he needed to do that now. So as we came through a little bit later on towards the end of the first lap, he was already up towards like the top 15 just about, so he was moving his way through the field very, very well and very consistently at the same time. So now a little bit later on in this race, up the inside of the 98 of Grant Enfinger into turns 2, made a pass on him. Now late in the race there was actually a crash in front of Gregory there, and we saw the 23 truck go around, and then we come straight through to the final lap now down this long back straightaway. He made a 3 wide move down this back straightaway and got clear of those 3 trucks, got to the back of the 8 here of Tad Moffitt now as he came through into the penultimate turn, now down towards the final turn, and he's going to be able to pass the 8 truck here out of the final corner. And sure enough, down the front straightaway, Billy Gregory might have started in the back of the field, but rebounds to a very exceptional finish here of P7 in the Truck Series at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, as the 2 of Tim Richmond would end up picking up the victory. I believe that would be his first win of his rookie season here as well in the Truck Series, as you see the rest of the finishing order on your screen. Down there at the bottom was Jennifer Jo Cobb as well as Mike Harmon. But now we come through into the Xfinity Series event here from Richmond Raceway. This is the final race of the regular season here in the Xfinity Series, so someone could still have a chance to potentially win their way into the playoffs, but it was looking unlikely here now, as we always struggle at Richmond. I'm so glad that this track is not in the Xfinity Series playoffs, because we are so bad here. Paul definitely does not like this track, and you're going to see that show in this race and this episode right here. He qualified a little bit worse than midfield, and that's pretty much all it was for throughout the whole race. He got aggressive early on, made a 3 wide in the middle, down this back straightaway out of turns 2 as well, but unfortunately it didn't really matter what Paul did in this race. Really just absolutely nothing worked whatsoever for Paul. So the whole race we just spent pretty much going backwards and just defending as hard as he could. So we come through right to the end of this race because absolutely nothing happened other than Paul going backwards. So we came through out of turns 4 to cross the start-finish line there to finish in a very, very disappointing 22nd place here from the Go Bowling 250 at Richmond Raceway. You see the rest of the finishing order on your screen. So the playoff grid will be set for the Xfinity Series. We'll check that out at the end of the episode. But Tony Bradinger once again would pick up the win over Max Gutierrez there in the 1 car. So a great day for those 2 drivers. I think we saw Rajah Caruth up there in P3 as well. So a solid end to the regular season for him. Definitely him and Bradinger are the 2 drivers I think that are going to be the strongest here in the Xfinity Series playoffs. Now as we come through into the Cup Series weekend, Martinsville Speedway, we got the Chain Smokers paint scheme back on the car, but what's different about this one is it's Martinsville under the lights. Very excited for this one now as you would come through to start our qualifying lap. The goal is to hit a 19.856, second race of the first round of the playoffs. The first race went pretty well for us. It could have went, of course, a little bit better, but we overall had a solid run in Dover, and of course had some things go wrong here and there with some speeding penalties and whatnot. not, but everything ended up working out in the end as we qualify with a 19.756 and qualify P9 here for the Martinsville night race. So definitely a good starting spot there on the inside line. But up front, we actually have the number 11 car of Denny Hamlin, his final time to a track where he's won many times at, as well Chase Elliott joining him on the front row. Myself and William Byron round out the top 10. Easy to look at the rest of the order. Ryan Blaney rounds out the top 30. Alex Bowman down at P36, and Sam Mayer all the way down in last place. Alright boys, we know we're going to be strong here today. I mean, this team overall does great at Martinsville, so let's make the most of this opportunity and just at least come out of here with some good points to make us safe for the next race in Watkins Glen. There you hear myself on the radio. Once again, I've said this before, I think in the last episode, I feel like this first round of the playoffs is going to be our strongest. We got Dover, a track where we're strong at all the time. Martinsville as well. Watkins Glen. All three tracks in this round, we always are in the mix at some point to potentially go for a win. And then the next round and beyond, it's going to be really, really tough right down to that season finale. And of course, this is, if we make it to the Final Four, it's going to be the hardest one we've ever made because, I mean, we of course have a lot less playoff points this season than we have in the past. Now as we get ready to take the green flag, Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott lead the field back to the green flag now as we are underway here from Martinsville Speedway under the lights, by the way, as we go down into turns 1. And you notice right in front of me, we've got the 96 of Brandon Jones. So I remember mentioning a little bit a while back that, of course, they started the season off with a couple wins at Daytona as well as Sonoma. They invested, that Gaunt Brothers Racing team, a ton of resources into their playoff cars. It didn't really show last episode, but clearly it's showing up here today. And I think they're going to actually be a competitor all playoff long simply because they spent pretty much the last 24 races of the regular season developing their car for these 10 races in the playoffs. They could make it potentially to the Final Four. What a story book ending to that team it would be, as we know they are going to be gone at the end of the season, as well as AlphaTauri will be coming in to replace the Gaunt Brothers Racing team, but Brandon Jones will remain behind the wheel, basically of the same car, just under the AlphaTauri branding now, as we were already up the inside of our Hendrick Motorsports teammate Chase Elliott, who had started in second place, clearly falling down very quickly, not a lot of speed in that Napa Auto Parts 9 Chevrolet Camaro. So we passed Elliott for 5th. Hamlin had actually driven away. He was long gone, bringing Harrison Burton with him, and I was trying to now put some pressure on Austin Cindric, one of those guys that's trying to make his way into that next round of the playoffs, and he's struggling a little bit here with the ovals in the last episode. Right now having a good run, but he has that road course of Watkins Glen to bank on in the next episode to potentially get him through to that round of 12. And if he can make it through to the round of 8 somehow, he has a road course in that round of 8 that could somehow put him in the Final Four if he maybe clutches up wins there as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this all develops now. As I was going to make a move to the outside, we were already dealing with lap traffic on lap 19. That move to the outside didn't work because Cindric made it 3 wide, so now I was under attack from the Penske driver of Ryan Preece there in that number 2 Ford Mustang here as we come through turns 3, though. All of a sudden this outside kind of working in my favor. It's always tough to just decide where you want to go, and unfortunately I made the wrong decision again here on Chris Buescher, who was falling way back. There might be some changes coming to Roush Fenway Racing as well at the end of the season. Stay tuned on that, but you see me now getting aggressive using the bumper there to the back of that 2 of Ryan Preece as I'm trying to get by him now as we go down towards turns 3, and sure enough back into the top 5 it goes. So 3 wide between Cindric and Lewis Hamilton as well as Brandon Jones now, as of course Lewis Hamilton so far this season, at least on the ovals, it's been very forgettable for him. I would not be surprised next season if he really picks it up though in the performance now, as we were side by side again with the number 2 car. I get very aggressive into turn 3. I really sailed it off in there trying to clear the 2 of Preece. Instead I drill the back of the 33 of Cindric, damage the front end of my car now as we only had 8 laps to go already here in stage 1 as Hamlin continues to just hang on to that lead there over the 19 of Harrison Burton. There's, you see me making some mistakes. I clipped the curbing, got loose. The car does not like that, of course, and I was making quite a few mistakes in this first and opening stage, as you saw when I drove right into the back of the 33 of Cindric a few laps prior now, as I kind of used up the 47 of Chastain right there. But now as we came through to a few laps to go in this first stage, now Daniel Suarez in that Going Racing car, unfortunately not having a good run here today from the paperclip under the lights at Martinsville Speedway. So that was very unfortunate to see, knowing that they're going to be in a rough spot and probably going into that next episode at Watkins Glen. So now we make a pass though on that 2 car of Ryan Preece, and then we get to the back of that 96 of Brandon Jones now as we get out of turns 4. We cleared Suarez, but now as we came through approaching the final lap of stage 1, I once again make a mistake with the braking, but all of a sudden the 96 of Brandon Jones passed both Harrison Burton and Denny Hamlin in one corner, and he goes from P3 to P1 here as as we start this final lap of this first and opening stage here, as now Hamlin drops down to P3 from P1. Burton still remains in second place. We're likely going to have to settle for fourth unless we can look up the inside of Hamlin just like this right here as we come through turns 3 and out of turns 4. Brandon Jones wins stage 1 over Harrison Burton, and we barely get Hamlin at the line, so we end up getting P3 there over that FedEx Toyota Camry driver of Denny Hamlin as Ryan Preece rounds out the top 5 here in this first and opening stage. So we went from 9th to 3rd place. I consider that pretty successful there for stage 1. William Byron, Austin Cindric, as well as Matt DiBenedetto, some other playoff drivers getting some points right there, as we did make some adjustments on the pit lane because the car, it honestly didn't feel that great. I felt like I was getting really loose on the exit of these corners and I couldn't put the power down like I needed to, and power down on the exit is so important at this track against the AI if you want to be able to contend with them down into the next corner. So I was really trying to find that here. So unfortunately we lose 3 spots on the pit lane. We had to make some repairs to the damage I had picked up running into the back of a couple guys, but now we get back ready to go green for the start of stage 2 here from Martinsville. And now of course for the start of stage 2 it is time to get amped. There you have the amped segment here from Martinsville Speedway under the lights right now. Brandon Jones in the 96 continues to lead the way. You can see we struggled a bit. We're down to P8, and I was struggling very hard to, once again, get that power down when I needed to and then be able to contend down into the next corner with some of these guys. So we were already on this 8th lap, not making any progress whatsoever. Only 22 to go by the time we came to the line there, but then we cut to lap 16. Burton had now gotten past Hamlin, and then it felt like about halfway through the second stage, the car was slowly starting to come to me, and that allowed me to get to the back of Hamlin, make a move up the inside of him, and now down into turns 1, we should be able to clear that 11 of Denny Hamlin. Now is sure enough clear on the exit of turns 2. So we're starting to move our way forwards now as we came through to lap 19. Burton, he left the door open for myself, so out of turns 4, I take that opportunity into the door of him a little bit now, as I think Burton's going to be a strong competitor as usual right down to the end of the season here, as we're side by side as we come through out of turns 2, by just continuously moving our way forward slowly and steadily as the stage goes on, as we were already approaching just the final 10 laps of the second stage here. Stage 2 flying by in a hurry just like stage 1 did, both pretty calm so far in this race here as we're now up the inside of the 2 car, but then the caution actually comes out, and all of a sudden this splits the strategy up quite a bit between some of these guys, where I saw a bunch of guys pitting but a bunch of guys staying out. I know how important points are for us right now, so I decided we're actually going to stay out and see if we can just win this stage here, as myself, Harrison Burton, Denny Hamlin are all going to be staying out, along with probably 7 or 8 more drivers as well that are on the lead lap. So now we get ready to go green. Sure enough, 9 cars stayed out here as we get ready to go back green. So hopefully this will work out in our favor and we can pick up the stage 1 victory. Now as the green flag is back out, and once again we are underway here with just 7 laps to go here in this second and opening stage. Denny Hamlin right on our back bumper, Harrison Burton on our outside, Brian Kozlowski, and that's Stuart Haas racing number 41 Worth Ford Mustang there in P4 as we go into turn 3, still side by side with Harrison Burton. But as we came through out of turn 4, we would clear him, but then down into the next corner in turns 1, I actually make a bit of a braking mistake there. We go a little bit wide through the center of the corner. That leaves the door wide open for Denny Hamlin to look up my inside as we go down this back stretch into turn 3, approaching just 5 laps to go in this second stage. But a mistake from myself blows the stage 1 victory away. I knew the 11 of Hamlin had more speed than me, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to run him back down here once he got back past, and you're going to see that come into effect here as we came through now approaching the final lap of the stage, and Hamlin had pulled out to about 5 car lengths or so between himself and I as we go into turns 1 and 2 for the final time. Kozlowski Keselowski into P3. Burton had dropped down to about P4 there, unfortunately for him, but we come through down the back straightaway into 3 and 4 for the final time, and we still, in my opinion, got a better stage finish than what we would have gotten if it had stayed green and whatnot. So we crossed the line to get P2 here in stage 2, but definitely, clearly, Hamlin indicating that there's some more work to do on this car. And this time, it really wasn't a loose issue. It felt like I had actually made the car a little bit too tight, but I was still concerned that with how long this third stage is going to be, it might start to get loose again, and I really didn't know what to do at this point. But now you see as well, everybody that had pitted under that last caution is going to stay out. So I decided to not actually touch the car. I felt like I could deal with it better than what we had in stage 1, but now we're going to be down in like 20th place after we come into the pit lane because of all of these guys staying out. So now we got to make sure we keep all these fenders on the car and just don't damage it and get our way through the field slowly but surely as we were back underway now for the start of stage 3. Aric Almirola leading the way. He actually won this race last season, if you guys remember correctly, now in that cutoff race at the round of 8 going into the final 4, as we were now up the inside of our rival of Joey Logano. But of course, Aric Almirola literally just this episode announced he will be retiring from full-time Cup Series competition at the end of this season here in the career mode, going into that final career mode season of NASCAR Heat 5 as we started lap 69. Nice now as we go down into turns 1. Kyle Larson just behind us now as we have an opportunity here to be the first guy on new tires to get up to the front. Right now it's a race between myself and Hamlin, and I think that's going to be very important because everybody that stayed out I don't think can make it to the end of this race without pitting, but myself, Denny Hamlin, we can make it to the end if we keep it green, of course. Now, if a caution comes out, say in 20 laps, everybody's going to be forced into the pit lane, no matter what the situation is. As Hamlin leaves the door open, I get past him. We're now the first car on fresh tires. Now on to lap 75, I finally made a 3-wide move up the inside of the 12 of Daniel Hemrick, as well as that McLaren driver. I believe that was Erik Jones on the outside there. I was actually stuck behind both of them for a few laps as they were continuing to race side by side, but now we were on the move, and we were also bringing Denny Hamlin with us. He was right in my rear view mirror, but we had gotten past Chase Elliott. We were now looking up the inside of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. there for Roush Fenway in that 6th car, and we would pass him as well. So now up to P9 as I'm continuing to bring Hamlin with me, but then we run down the next group of cars. William Byron, last episode's winner, he's already locked in to the round of 12. He also now has 3 wins on the season, a breakout season for William Byron and that Earnhardt Johnson racing team, of course, now in their 3rd season together here, as they were winless last season, and then their 1st season together they picked up 1 win and were a first round exit. So now up the inside of Brandon Jones as well in the Gaunt Brothers Racing and Toyota Camry, and we were continuing to just move our way forwards, but Aric Almirola, he was almost a full straightaway ahead of us at this point in the race. So with 39 laps to go, I knew lap traffic was going to be our only chance to run down Aric Almirola, so I was really hoping it was going to stay green. Now as we were just door banging a little bit there with Anthony Alfredo, we get past him into turns 3. We nearly leave the door wide open for Hamlin to slip up the inside, but fortunately we hold him off. So out of turns 4, now De Benedetto actually to the lead over Aric Almirola as we now make a move up the inside of Kyle Busch, but it's not going to happen. Haley Deegan goes around through turns 3 and 4. She hits the water barrels and backs up into oncoming traffic. The caution comes out, and everybody is going to be forced into the pit lane here now with 37 laps to go. 29 cars on the lead lap, about to be 30, as Noah Gragson will get the lucky dog, I believe it was. But we lose 2 spots on the pit lane, but we took 4 tires, 2 cans of fuel, or just filled it up at least, I should say, and that will be enough to get us to the end. Kyle Busch goes from P5, I think it was, or something like that, all the way up to 2nd place there after the pit stop. So now as we go into turns 1, though, Brandon Jones forces it up the inside 3 wide. That completely caught me off guard. I was not happy whatsoever about that move because now that completely messes us over. We're still 3 wide into turn 3, more contact. The 96 gets us in the left rear, moves us out of the groove as we come through out of turns 4, and now we get clear. Now we have an opportunity to get down in front of Erik Jones as we go down into turns 1, but Jones now is going to fill a hole that was never even there, and he drills us in the quarter panel and moves us out of the way, and all of a sudden we're outside of the top 10. A chaotic restart right there now puts us under pressure as I was trying to sail it off into the corner to clear William Byron. Couldn't quite do that either. Aric Almirola back out front, of course, but very, very frustrating start there to that restart. Now, as Jones, I don't know why he decided to force the 3 wide up the middle like that, but then we finally got settled down, and then Erik Jones said, you know what, I'm going to sail it up your inside when there's not enough room to fit a whole car there. And unfortunately, it messed us over, but we were getting back into our rhythm. We were moving our way back forwards. We got past Anthony Alfredo. We got past William Byron, now passing Kyle Busch for P9. P9. He drops down to P10 and outside of the top 10 eventually, as Alfredo would get past him. Now up the inside of Kyle Larson for P8 here, as we were just continuing to just get in that rhythm and move our way back forwards. We had also gotten past the 20 of Christopher Bell, up into P7, trying to run down that car of Brandon Jones, who moved us out of the way earlier, but I didn't think I was just going to plow into him or just shove him out of the way now, as I was just trying to focus on our own race, even though I was a little bit annoyed with the progress that we lost because of him, as well as that McLaren driver of Aric Jones. I just wanted to keep it going in the right direction and not make any enemies at this point here. So now we were 2 by 2, and it got a little bit awkward right here. Now, as I was deciding, you know what, I'm going to try and force it 3 wide if I need to here, because we need to get a move on it now, as this lap traffic is just in the way, and it was the 3 of Austin Dillon specifically. So sure enough, on lap 111, I make it 3 wide with Hamlin and the McLaren of Aric Jones down this back straightaway and into turns 3. It's now going to be 2 rows deep of 3 wide in Martinsville. Never thought I'd be saying that, but it's 3 by 3 right here as we exit turns 4. Hamlin backs up. He says, I don't want any part of that whatsoever. And now with 14 laps to go, there's just nowhere to go. So I'm trying to find my way down. All of a sudden, we're 3 wide in the middle. We're door banging with the 33 here and almost into the side of the 11 as we go down into turns 3. And now I have my opportunity to get back down to the inside here, up the inside of Austin Dillon, getting by him. I just shove him out of the way. I said, get out of here, dude. You were the reason that we were in this spot in the first place of just going 3 by 3. And some door banging as well, of course. But then we also managed to get back past Denny Hamlin in the 11 car with 12 laps to go. And all of a sudden, I realized Aric Almirola really isn't that far out of reach. So I'm really getting aggressive with 11 to go 3 wide up the inside of De Benedetto, as well as the 96 of Brandon Jones here as we exit turns 2, trying to make that pass on him. And now we're going to sail it up into turn 3 once again up the inside of the 47 of Chastain. Now passing the McLaren of Aric Jones, and all of a sudden we have a chance to move up into second place here in Martinsville. We clearly don't have a second place car by any means at Martinsville Speedway here today, but we were making it work as we exit turn 2. We passed Lewis Hamilton as well as our future teammate of Ryan Blaney. Then now on lap 118 of 125, Almirola's only got 3 cars in between us, but unfortunately one of those cars is our rival of Joey Logano, a playoff contender who's having a rough day, as well another playoff contender who's having a rough day. Noah Gragson is showing up. Logano, he's going to try and push us right off the track into the curbing and turn us around. We're door banging down the front straightaway. I was not happy. I turned right into him. Now as we go down into turns 1 with 7 to go, he continues to try and cause havoc, and fortunately we get clear out of turns 2. He runs into the back of us again, pushes us all the way down the back straightaway, but fortunately right there, Aric Jones in the McLaren really just saved the day for me, because he got up the inside of Logano, but then you saw me make a mistake. I hit the curb, slid up, opened the door for Aric Jones to go by on the inside with 6 laps to go in this race. So now we have to now fight it out for second place, as Almirola was able to really stretch out the gap between us now when we got fighting with Logano. So now coming to 3 laps to go in this race, back up the inside of the McLaren, but then we got these guys in the way. We got Noah Gragson right there planted in my line. So now you got Aric Almirola who's being held up as well, so it might not be over yet. If he really gets held up, we might have a chance here as we're going to turns 3, approaching 2 laps to go. I get right on that back bumper of the one car, just trying to get him out of the way as we're still side by side with Aric Jones. Definitely a little bit of a frustrating spot to be in right here, as there's not a whole lot of options we have other than forcing a 3 wide, which Aric Almirola just did here with a lap and a half to go. But finally, we get clear of Jones and move back up in a second, and then I really send it up the inside of Noah Gragson, hoping that somehow that 43 is going to get held up enough. Aric Almirola leads the way to the final lap here from Martinsville Speedway as we go down into turns 1. He's up on that second line. There might be an opportunity right here as we exit turns 2, going down this back straightaway, but now there's trouble into turns 1. The 47's around the 20 car of Christopher Bell, and the 14 is actually going to go under him a little bit, and that ends the race half a lap early. Aric Almirola wins here at the Martinsville night race, the first, I guess, official NASCAR Heat 5 career mode Martinsville night race for points other than an all-star race. So very unfortunate that we couldn't maybe just have one chance there going at Almirola, maybe in turns 3, but still overall a second place finish. Cannot complain about that. So now we're going to check out the playoff series grids, of course, before we call this episode a close, because it's an interesting situation, because next episode is the first round elimination race, keep in mind, for the Cup Series. And as always, of course, if you guys enjoyed, you do know what to do, but here is the Cup Series playoff grid. So we are locked in on points, by the way, but Suarez out by 40, Gragson by 16, Bell by 8, and Elliott by 3. It's going to come down to the wire at the Watkins Glen Road Course. Very excited for it. Cannot wait to see what happens happens. But of course, before we end this episode, as the usual, I would like to say a quick thank you to the Going Racing members on the channel of MJ, Joseph 9001, Timothy Arline, Bubba Jr., Brett Durward, Dark Gengar Gaming, AJ Vasura, Russell Dixon, Kenneth Barnett, Dana9302, as well as King Matt XL. You guys help me out so much, and I appreciate it once again so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really do appreciate the continued support, and thank you to everybody for watching this episode. I'll see you guys in the next one for the Watkins Glen Elimination Race. Have a great day, everybody.